There's Andrea. Hey guys, this is Erin Chase coming from my very yellow office, and Tony Anderson is here with us tonight, and Andrea Deckard. We are the trio behind Digital CoLab and the upcoming Digital CoLab Innovation something or other. We haven't decided on the final part of our event name. That will be, we will share that with you soon. So we are really excited to get to talk with you tonight about content marketing and all the things that come with content marketing. So you're a blogger, you're an online entrepreneur, you have all this great content to share. Well, then what? What do you do with it? There are so many different ways that you can advertise, and basically that's what you're doing, sharing your content, marketing your content, finding your core demographic, finding the people who are interested in your content, how do you connect with them? So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, and trying to come up with ways that, thinking outside the box. We all know about building a community of bloggers who you can then network with, and then you then in turn create this sort of community of readers who know about you and your other blogs. So if your niche is fitness, let's say, and you have you have a group of 15 or so fitness bloggers that you all work together and share each other's content, building community that way. But what are some other things that you can do for content marketing? So do either one of you want to jump in and just talk a little bit about what have you found to be an effective marketing channel? Maybe it's one specific channel, maybe it's changed over time. What has worked for your site? What changes have you made? How have you improved those strategies over time? We've all been doing this for a long time. So what is content marketing meant to you and to your site, and how you've used it?
I guess I'll go first, because being someone who was really considered a deal blogger for so many years, I saw several years ago that the change was coming, and now everybody, it's like a mass exodus. Like, they're changing to more content, they're focusing more on content, and that's really why I rebranded a couple years ago, because I knew that my site was not just coupon and deal focused. Granted, I did a lot of that, and I still do some of that, but I wanted the content to speak for itself and really make the content work for me in more ways than just, a deal is typically like more time sensitive, and you get the traffic, and there's really not a lot of like long tail SEO stuff that you can do. Granted, you can, but it's not like it's something that gets socialized for the long term. Whereas a really good article on ways to save on beauty products, or a really good recipe, gets socialized, for years to come. And that's actually where a lot of my content traffic is coming from a search perspective, is a lot of the content that I have out there, none of the deals. So it's really interesting for me to see, 3 years ago, there's recipes that I put out there that they're getting a lot of traffic. So I think that, obviously, like the content marketing aspect in it, it really has changed over the years. Probably all of us, Pinterest came out, and it's like, okay, that's where a lot of people are focusing now, rightly so, because it is generating a lot of traffic for people. And I know there's different schools of thought on, is the traffic sticking, is it giving you a higher bounce rate or whatever, but I think that could be different for a lot of people. But I think one of the content strategies that I've used over the years too is, going along with what we talked about last week, and with Lauren on, and some of the media components. I'm syndicated on several different networks. From your work with Favado, how like every week it seems like I'm seeing a new piece get picked up from something that was back from October, which is great because they're landing on my site. But that just shows you the power of content, true content, and syndication, and working with some of those media outlets. So when I think about content marketing now, that's where I'm trying to focus a lot of my energy, is actually generating really good content and socializing it, just like I have done for years with Facebook and Twitter, putting a little bit more focus on Google Plus and Pinterest, but then seeing what kind of news outlets might have an interest in either picking up the piece for syndication, or saying, hey, would you like to do a media piece around this topic, and I can give you some unique content, to fill in the gaps in your own article for your site.
Hey, quick question, Tony, before you jump in. Andrea, do you have different strategies for your more evergreen content? and recipe content, Pinterest content, like those types of article content versus the quicker deal. I know we have a lot of deal bloggers in our community. Do you use different strategies for those two types of content, or are you just pretty much trying to push it all out in the same way?
Yeah, so with the Evergreen content, I really do focus more on sharing in intentional ways on the social outlets. So I do auto post everything to Facebook and Twitter, just because I feel like that's the best use of my time right now. We could talk about that, a completely different topic, but I am more intentional with what I'm sharing on Pinterest and Google Plus right now, because I know those are going to help with more traffic generation and with search engine ranking positions. So my deal stuff, now it's not to say that I'm not trying to be smart about how I am, marketing that content, because there are certainly some posts that I want to optimize fully so I can generate more income from that. So I'm not saying that I don't do that, but I am more focused around I have a different strategy for that content, in that, I'm not trying to socialize like the Frozen DVD set $19.99. I'm more focused around what kind of content do I know that can live, for now as a sale or even beyond. So is it a really good scarf sale? Here are 10 great beauty buys. That type of stuff that is really good content in my opinion, because it makes sense that people would land on it and say, hey, here's some good information that she thinks are really good beauty buys, and there's affiliate links in it. Whereas I'm not just pushing out like, here's an Almay deal at CVS this week. It goes out naturally just because of the auto posting stuff, but it's not something I focus on.
Cool. Hey, Tony, about talking about just content marketing strategies in general, you've had some really great success with some of your products and your ebooks that you've pulled together, and I think it would be really valuable. I know, we talk about funnels and we talk about calls to action and we talk about conversion and all that. So maybe just talk a little bit about the products you've had and what you've done for those, and how successful that's been for you.
Okay, sure. I love content marketing. It's one of my favorite things to do and talk about. But one thing that really worked for me a couple years ago was, user-generated content or reader-generated content that I then funneled into an entire content strategy through the homemade Christmas gifts that I started on my site a couple years ago, and so it was nice because I was driving all of the same content into. And of course you can talk about SEO, you can talk about socializing that, you can talk about all the different things on your site that benefits from like a cohesive campaign. And for me, it was 100 days before Christmas for the past 3 years, and it's always been user submitted. And when they submitted, I asked permission to publish that content in ebooks. So when people submitted from day one, I got permission from them to use it. So what I found valuable was I knew that people liked it. It took off on Pinterest the first year. So I like to call myself a lazy blogger. I don't like to reinvent stuff. I like to use what's working. And so when I saw that this was an interest, I decided to do a whole strategy around, my readers love these homemade Christmas gifts. They're frugal readers, so the thought of making their own gifts was a big benefit for them. And so when I saw how popular the series was, we turned the series into an ebook. And it was really easy to, kind of funnel those readers into the ebook because I priced it low, which I know that's a whole other topic of how to price an ebook. My strategy was to price it low and then offer it for free, and through the Amazon Select program. So there's a lot of stipulations with that, and you have to agree to do some things that some people might not be a good fit. But for me, my goal was to get the book a high rank on Amazon, and then that way it would continue to sell once it wasn't free. That's worked for me every year. And it's the same ebook. It actually hasn't changed. We do have another, just a kind of a PDF free book with Christmas gifts from the next year. But what's nice about it is that you have, a lot of bloggers still like to share that free content on Kindle, so people will share it with you. Bloggers will share it for you. So I've got other people talking about my site, which is a benefit, and talking about the words that I want them to talk about on my site, and it's a benefit for them as well because they're driving people to Amazon around Christmas time and hopefully setting that cookie for sales. So it's a win for me and it's a win for other bloggers that, you know, I think it's best. I mean, how many people can you help out? Like, help as many people as you can, because eventually it'll come back to you in the end anyway. And you know, I really believe in that, especially in the blogging community. So, you know, I had other people promoting it, and then I had the people who had crafts or projects featured in the book also promoting it because it was driving traffic to their site. So I tried to sort of create, I like to think of it as like a tornado funnel, where everybody is just like promoting like this, and it's, you know, and it kind of funnels everybody down, and the bottom line is, you know, I get the keywords that I want to get, I get the traffic to my site, and then I get these residual purchases from the book. You know, I think the first year the book did 20,000 free downloads in the first week, which drove it to the top of the, was enough to drive it to the top of the Kindle list, and then over the next 3 to 4 weeks sold another 4,000 to 5,000. So, you know, offering this free book, and then, you know, and then not even, and I what I did with the contributors is I said I will never promote it when it's not free, because the goal was just to get the content out there. And the book has links in it back to these people's sites. They got links, you know, to their websites, links to craft supplies, all that sort of thing. And then, you know, as well as that, then it just sold on its own. And it really kind of created this cohesive theme for my own site in the fall, and is still, like, that whole campaign is still one of my biggest revenue drivers, with either links to supplies, you know, affiliate links, or links to other products, but it's all Christmas related. So not necessarily the sales and the deals at Christmas that some people post about, but just all kind of driving back to that one, you know, topic of homemade Christmas. So that's what I've done, and I've done that with several other things. Andrea did something similar with her everyday savings tips a couple years ago, where she had sort of a cohesive theme about that. I think yours was an entire year of tips, wasn't it, Andrea?
Yeah, it was an entire year, and user-generated content from readers.
Yeah, so I think that's one way that you can really, you know, you can make money that way. You can just drive content as far as if you want to be known for something, or if you want to work on a specific set of keywords, to sort of build up this, you know, I've been doing this for 3 years now with this theme. The other thing that I think, and I thought about when Erin, you were talking initially, was that Google Analytics is probably like the most underutilized tool for bloggers. I mean, I will admit I don't use it to its fullest potential, but, you know, there are YouTube tutorials. You can go on Google's page and learn how to, I mean, if you go into Google Analytics help, you could be there for 5 days reading on tips and how to, you know, use all the tools that are available, but it's free. And, you know, that's a great way to see what people are reading on your site. What were your top 50 posts last year? Stop trying to do something new. Look what your try to figure out what your readers are already want and already like. What posts are getting the comments? What posts are getting the views? What posts are getting the shares? And maybe add on top of that next year. So if your top post in, you know, 2014 or 2013 was how to make cloth diapers, then what can you talk about with cloth diapers in 2014? Because that's what your readers are interested in. That's what got shared. Maybe you share cloth diaper deals. Maybe you share deals on fabric. Maybe you realize that they really like the do-it-yourself type thing, so you share more do-it-yourself bibs, burp cloths. I don't know. Maybe you have a lot of readers with babies, but use your analytics to find out what people already like on your site. Build on that for the next year. I would rather do that and try to give my readers what they want than try to be reinventing myself every year and trying to find the next big thing when I already have something that's working.
Yeah, and that's what Colin, who's speaking at the event this year, who's done some of the content audits, that's what I think sometimes it helps to have somebody from the outside come in and look at your business too, but he was basically, the whole idea for those content audits is make your content work for you. You know, if people are coming to your site because they found this recipe, they found the cloth diapers, Erin with all the Costco craziness, you know, and everything that she did, she's done more of it, you know, so make your content work for you, give them more of what they want instead of trying to recreate something. And I'll totally admit, like, I like to be creative, and so I've liked to try to challenge the, I guess, the everyday and what I see other bloggers doing, and I will go out and I'll do my own thing to be different, to make myself stand apart. But I'm not saying like I'm going to stick with that. I'm making changes this year in my business that, you know, I'm going away from doing some of what I was doing that was kind of exclusive and going back to what makes more sense, because I'm making my content work for me, and I'm not going to keep doing something that doesn't make sense, you know. So I think it also just makes sense to kind of reevaluate your content in general, and how you're marketing it, what your strategies are over time, to say, should I do something differently, because what I'm doing might be working, but what you were doing before was working just as well. So it's one of those things.
I think something else to think about too is that I know a lot of people in our group have contributing writers or VAs, or a lot of people aren't posting the main content on your site. One of the things that my editor did for us last year on the site was basically share whose posts were getting the most interaction. And basically what that was telling us was, who's the most relatable on your site, because, really they're not trying to be me, but my readers started reading for me. So, we're trying to get people that fit with the same themes that I talk about, and really looking at, are the people that are writing for you, are their posts making an impact? Is their content what your readers want? And, it's okay to maybe change up people that are writing for you. If you're buying content, if a lot of people buy content now to get on their sites, it's a great way to get, for some of the people that blog mostly about deals and coupons, it's a great way to get content without having to necessarily write it yourself. But track those posts. How do they perform? How do your readers react to those? It's okay to change up your writers. It's okay to change up people that work for you if it's not resonating. And I know it's hard because you build up relationships with people, but it's not a personal thing. Maybe they could work in another capacity for you. Maybe you can recommend them to somebody else who would be a better fit. But I think that's something too. If you're getting content contributed to your site by either VAs or writers, to really be tracking those posts and see how those posts are performing for you as well, because you're actually paying for that. It's not just your time, but you're also, actually putting out some cash.
Remember at WDS when Tess went up to Harlan during the thing, and and Harlan, who's also speaking at the event about community, was like, there's only 5 topics you can write about from a personal finance perspective. So you have to switch it up, and getting like another voice on there to give a different perspective, I think, is a great way to do that. He'll share some of the other things he's done too at the event, but that's something that I still remember, because I think about it, being in like the frugal space, like there's only so many ways I can tell you how to save money on your utilities, right? I mean, it's like, okay, how else can you mix it up? And that's a great way to do it, through user-generated content, through kind of like working with other bloggers, or getting another contributor to do that.
I think you guys have both hit on a concept that I think is really crucial, and something that, it's a quote that I read recently, and for the life of me, I can't remember where I read it, and I'm going to chalk it up to just social media ADD and just seeing so much here and there, but it just stuck in my mind. And it was there's something along the lines of, there's no such thing as smart marketers anymore, but now it's smart experimenters. And I think that both of you have touched on that, and that's something to think about, is from a huge corporate level to, Dodge and their crazy, go find the car in the middle of nowhere thing a couple years ago. That was an experiment, and it went really well, right? That went viral pretty quickly, and it worked for them. It was, it was a marketing, campaign that went really well for them. And, from a corporate level all the way down to, us and our blog posts and our Costco posts and our homemade Christmas ebooks and our everyday savings, like, we have to experiment and figure out what's going to work, because as you both have said, what worked, last quarter or last year is not necessarily going to work this year. And I have found that for myself. I wrote a holiday entertaining guide ebook a couple years ago, and it worked. It did really well the first 2 years, and part of it was my fault not putting enough muscle and hustle behind it this past year, but it just didn't do as well. So that means this year I need to come up with a way more creative and clever way to get it out there, if I want to, have that additional revenue stream from selling the book again. So I think that goes to show. I wanted to take the last couple minutes to talk about, do you ever pay? When do you pay? Should you pay? These are our businesses, and I know we all rely on social media marketing, which is mostly free. I mean, you can choose to pay, for a Facebook boost or that kind of thing. But when does it make sense to use a service like Outbrain or OneSpot, or start paying to have contributors, and part of their contribution is also social media and love to their content? So when does that happen, and should you be, I think it was Jim who gave some great advice. People at the end of the year were talking about what should I buy? What physical thing should I write off as an expense? But maybe it should be that you're, paying for some content marketing, and that is his advice was invest back in your business. And I think content marketing is one of those ways to do that. So just wanted to get you guys your thoughts on, paid marketing. If you've done it, have you had success with it? Why not?
So paid marketing, so yeah, I pay someone to manage my Google Plus and my Pinterest pages. We were testing out the Facebook side of things, and Facebook, the reach is just horrendous. And so, I made the decision to say, I'm not focusing on Facebook. I don't really care about Facebook. I keep gaining fans, and I'm not trying to engage with people on Facebook at this point, because I know that Facebook is only going to show them what they want to show them and when they want to show it. And I'm getting a lot more exposure from Google Plus and Pinterest right now. So I have also actually paid someone to go do some content dropping. So some of the weekly memes, memes, sorry, that are okay, here's your recipe this week. The recipe link up for the week or whatever it might be, and I paid someone to do that kind of stuff for me, and it actually was it generated traffic, but it wasn't necessarily traffic that stuck. So one of the things that I've done, and I've been doing this for a while, is if you look at some of my part of my optimization on posts is going back and adding a subscribe form for each of the posts that are getting a lot of traffic. And that's the one thing that I can see, that's kind of like my ROI for people working on that kind of stuff, or me even spending my own time in marketing that content in different ways. I need to get a subscriber out of it. If there's not something I can sell in it, and yeah, I know there's going to be people that say you can sell anything in any post. Like you can sell flour if you're talking about, pasta, and yeah, you can, but I don't really think it's going to convert very well, to be very honest. So I don't really give those people that say that a lot of stock, because there has to be something more in it for flour to get purchased on Amazon. Should you put that in there? Sure, it's not going to hurt anything, but I don't really think that you should, plan on paying your mortgage with that either. So that's my ROI, is trying to get a subscriber out of it, and then delivering the content to them. That way I can, get something eventually in the future and make money in some capacity. But I have paid for marketing.
I've paid too, and I think the one thing that I've seen bloggers do, and I've done this myself sometimes, is some of the content marketing is not cheap, like Outbrain. Some of the more, I would say, corporate type marketing would be a little more expensive, and I don't necessarily think it's not for bloggers. I think it very well could be. Perez Hilton is doing it, so why can't we, right? But I think that one of the things is when you are actually putting out money for either to hire someone to work for you to do your Pinterest. I have someone that does Pinterest and Facebook for me, or paying for something like Outbrain. Andrea's right. You really need to be you need to decide what is your ROI on this, as opposed to just saying, oh, I have someone doing my Pinterest. Well, what good is that doing you? Have you seen results? Was your goal in the beginning to grow Pinterest followers, and did you get there, or are you getting there? Was your goal to drive more traffic from your site from Pinterest, and is that what you're getting? Is your Google Plus goal to rank higher in the searches? But I think before you make the decision to pay, you need to figure out what the goals are so that you can actually measure to see if it's worth your money. And I think we think like, oh, $20 to do this, or $30, it's not a lot of money. And then we don't really, I think we all did this at the end of last year. I think it was Erin, Rachel Holland, and Andrea. We all said, we were looking around and we're like, so I was spending $10 a month on this, and $15 a month on this, and $20 a month on this at the end of the year, and you realize you're spending $175 a month on stuff you're not using. So, I think whenever you're spending money, because this is your business, and this, you are an entrepreneur, you've got to really determine your ROI before you decide to shell out the money. And I'm all for paying for these things. I think they work, but I think they only work if you know what you want and you know what you get out of them. And I've been guilty of not knowing, because I meet a girl that can do this and she's awesome and she's helped somebody else, and I hire her, and then I tell Andrea to hire her, and But at the end of the day, if I don't know what she's doing for me, it doesn't really matter. So I think that's really important to, and I think that also stops a lot of the like, oh, I'm so disappointed in that person, they didn't succeed for me. Well, did they really have the goals that you wanted when you gave them the job? So, or when, if that type of, boosting the post didn't work for you, why didn't it work for you? Was it because you didn't get the reach? Was it because you didn't get the actual clicks to your site from Facebook? But, really have those goals in mind before you spend money, and I think you'll be a lot happier in the end.
Right, too, and I think another place to spend money, especially if it's an affiliate sort of situation where you think or from the past that it's going to convert well. For $5 dinners, I've done this in the past. If there's a new affiliate offer for a meal planning service, I will put that out there because it converts like crazy bananas, and I will boost it because I know I will earn way more money if I boost it and reach new people who don't know about me and who aren't curious about like what's this new meal planning thing that this girl's raving about, right? I will earn a lot more money in the affiliate revenue than I did in what I paid to boost it. So I think that, on certain paid, where you're going to earn revenue from a specific post in general with a very clear call to action that you think or know is going to convert really well, I think that that's a great opportunity for you to put a little bit of money behind it, maybe even write a little bit more of an article style post and then use the self-service at Outbrain. You can just put $60 or $70 behind it and see how it does. You never know who you're going to reach because Outbrain is awesome at putting content that people want to see in front of them. They just have a really great platform and software that does that. So, okay. I can't believe it's already 8:30. Does anybody have any other last little nuggets that they wanted to share about content marketing before we wrap this up?
Oh, I have one thought early on. Just one more thing. We don't really talk about guest posting much anymore because I don't think, at least I haven't seen it being as effective in driving traffic to your site. But I still think that if you are wanting to get yourself branded for something, so like Erin with the Costco meal plan, if she was seeing a lot of success for that, I would say that there's value if you have a situation, maybe not as viral as Erin's because that's abnormal, but to offer a guest post to some of the blogs that might be able to bring new readers to your site and offer a good guest post, great content about whatever that topic is. And it might not necessarily drive, that 10,000 hits in a day that you want to your site, but it will continue to brand you as the expert in the Costco meal plan or in the frugal, how to save on your utilities, right? So if you have a theme or something that you're trying to work through on your site, I still think guest posting can be effective, but I think it's a little different than it used to be. And people don't seem to want to do it anymore because we don't see the immediate traffic surge. But you're still building content, on other places in the web about things that you want to be an authority in, and I think that's valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great, great tips and great advice. So to wrap this up, I think that for us to challenge ourselves and to challenge you guys, we would really encourage you to start thinking outside of the box and start thinking outside of what you're currently doing. Is there something else that you can be doing to get your content out there? Are your strategies the same for different types of content? Should you diversify those strategies? Should you pay for something? What should you pay for? When should you pay for it? And I think that with including that into your editorial calendar, if you have it in a spreadsheet or in your keywords, if there's a keyword that you're really going after, put a little money behind it. It doesn't have to be a lot. Even $40 or $50 can make a difference. Continue to, I like to say, spread your content tentacles everywhere that you can into the web. Is there a new place that you can reach? And just to be thinking about that. And as you do, I think we're at what, March 10th already? Oh my goodness. So I'm already starting to, I need to figure out still, and it might, well, not, anyways, 2 weekends from now, I'll probably do my Q2 planning, which is a little coming close to the end of Q1 here. But when you're doing your planning, whether that's for next month or next quarter, be thinking about what you can do to continue to diversify and change up and experiment with the different options and strategies that you have for content marketing. So I think that's a wrap for tonight, and thanks for watching, everyone, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
See ya.